hard to handle. Well, you can get underneath it with your forks, pick it up, and then the boom can work independently because it's got hydraulics on it, and you can take a chain or sling up from the top and secure it on the top, pick it from the bottom, have the most of the load on your forks, but make sure that you got it on the top. So a lot of people use, if you're worried about it staying on your forks or not falling over, have the boom and the forks on, and use the boom on the top and the forks on the bottom. So different charts. Now, if the boom is on this machine, your load center is from the face of the boom. So it's going to give you a load center here, and it's going to be from the face of that boom. So if the boom's on there, that's as close as you can get the load to it. So that's where you measure from. So if you have a 6-foot piece, you're going to have roughly a 3-foot load center from the face of the boom. So that's when you look at the chart and see, okay, where do I need to have the counterweight back? How many counterweights do I need on this machine in order to handle that? Now, in many cases, you guys know this better than I do, that your customer doesn't know what the hell it weighs most of the time. Or he'll say 30,000 and he really meant 30 tons. Or whatever. You get there, so we give you a scale on this machine. The scale is up here on the top, and it reads out exactly what you pick up. Okay, it works with one button. It's the RST button. You push that button at any time, whether you have the boom on it, forks on it, load on it, rigging on it, whatever. When you push it, it's going to go to 0. Okay, so the idea is that when you go up to a load, and you're already slinging to it from the top, you aren't picking up any load yet, you 0 it, you pick the load up off the ground. As soon as you let up on the lever, it's going to tell you what you picked up in thousands of pounds. And it's going to be within a couple hundred pounds. So this scale works really good. It just works on a transducer on the lift circuit. It's just measuring the hydraulic flow or hydraulic pressure in that lift circuit. Now, it's got to be, you have to have the machine in the lower stage of that lift cylinder, not in the upper stage. It's a 2-stage lift cylinder here. It has to be in the lower stage for that scale to be accurate. Okay? So, we give you the tools to know what you're picking up. So you pick that thing up and it says 40,000 instead of 30,000 like the customer told you. You might have to go back and put another counterweight on, or you may have to just extend the frame back in order to be in your chart. Now your chart gives you 25% safety factor, okay? So that's what all forklifts do. So this was no different. Our chart, you get on there and you keep it right on exactly what that chart says, you got 25% safety. That's the back end's going to stay on the ground. If you stop short, if you get on a hill or whatever, that's why you have such a big safety factor. You got it on cranes too. You know why, but these are pick and carry too, so it's even more important to abide by capacity chart. Because you go to driving a machine and need to stop or for any reason, or you get a load swinging up there, you tilt forward a little bit too much, there's a lot of things can happen, so you want to stay on that chart and not get above it. I know riggers will occasionally fudge a little bit, but you know what you're up against when you do. This is like every other forklift. So, I think I pretty much went through most of the operator station. I haven't touched on the remote controls yet. Any questions on anything so far? Like I say, I'd really recommend you get on the machine and play with it a while. Plus, play with the remote too if you're going to use the remote. But I'm going to go through the remote a little bit now too. Okay, this machine has got radio remote control. The way to turn it on is you have to have the ignition key on, and it's got a switch up here on the dash. It says manual control and remote control. So I switched it over to remote. So the machine's accessories on, remote control switch is on, and so that makes this thing live. Okay?
It's radio.
It's radio.
We have it looked up.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you can walk a a long ways away and still run this thing. So the transmitter button here, you turn it on, there should be a light here. That means your box is live. You got the engine start and stop here, and parking brake here. Okay, so make sure your parking brake's set. You do have 3 speeds on this thing. Okay, so there's idle. There's their 1500 is RPM 1. Here's 2000. Okay. Stop it, the engine switch has got to stop on it. So you can turn it on, turn it off, everything on this thing. So it also has a slow and fast switch here. It's made to slow everything down and make everything smoother. If you want to go into slow, you need to quicken things up a bit, you can go to high, and it does everything. The drive, the lift, the tilt, everything. It speeds up all functions when you go to slow and high. And
how does it do that?
Electrically. Yeah, it does it electronics wise. The pump has an electric controller on it. It just reduces the amount of amps that go to it, and so to the control valve. It cuts the amount of that this lever is given it, cuts it in half if you go into slow. So it just
It's kind of the electric over hydraulic, so the electricity throttles the hydraulic pressure back.
no, well, now the valve itself is manual. There's actually levers that go straight to the valve here. Plus there's solenoids down the valve that this thing's running. You'll see the levers move when I work the functions on the control valve. On the drive itself, now it's just a electric control on top of the hydrostatic pump. And it regulates how much hydraulic flow goes to the swash plate to move the swash plate. So it's electric over hydraulic to get the hydraulics to go. So to control the hydraulic pump. So I usually run it in slow. You can run it on anything you want. Frame extension and retractions on here also. Okay. Retract the back now. Stand the back. On your drive, release your parking brake, and your drive is over on your left thumb. Forward and reverse, your steering's over here on your right. So, you drove a Tonka toy when you were young, you have no trouble with this. And then the steering's over here. Levers on your machine. Your lift is first. Tilt. Okay. You even have electronic fork positioners on this thing. So, you got the left one. The right one, your fork positioner movement. So you can set your forks anywhere you want. Again, something you want to play around with, I think, before you go. And I've got a lot of different customers that, well, some of them just don't know how to run this machine without the remote controls. In fact, they called me and said, we've never been on the seat. And we even thought about our electric version, not even put a seat on the machine. But I've also got about half my customers that this thing is still in the boss's drawer. And they didn't freight to use it. So it's a wide variety out there of people that feel comfortable with it, or if an odor feels comfortable with certain people that have it. I mean, that's all up to you guys on how you want to do that. But this is definitely something that's been a mixed bag. Some people just wouldn't dream of doing anything without it. I mean, you can do a lot of work by yourself with this thing around your neck and a little patience. Because you can walk all the way around the machine and be exactly where you need to be to do your job. I mean, if you want to be on the other side of the trailer when you're driving the forks underneath something, hey, you can be on this thing, drive around walk around the other side, check your clearances, make sure you're not running into stuff. You don't need a lot of help if you got somebody that's good with this and is patient and doesn't try and do too much too quick. If you try and do too quick, then yeah, you're over here and you're running over something back there. So a lot of times a ground man is usually around anyway, but it changes the dynamics of operator being told what to do to somebody on the ground actually doing it. That's kind of the change. And it's a little different mindset. So you might play with it, decide who wants to use it and who doesn't. So, okay. Any questions on that? There's something I forgot to mention on the frame extension. There is another lever back here, cable that goes in and out. It says frame lock. That frame lock, there's a hole, see it right here. This hole here, we have a pin that slides in that hole when the frame's all the way in. So you can lock the frame down when you're wanting to haul this machine. And that's basically what that frame lock's there for. You bring the frame all the way in, stick the lock down in it, then you can tie it back in on the rings, you can tie it backwards and the front forwards, and then you got your machine and you're pulling against the pin instead of pulling against the hydraulic cylinder. You forget about that, you're pulling against that hydraulic cylinder and go a long way, and you're going to all of a sudden get mush because it'll bleed off eventually. It's a cylinder, it's only a 4-inch diameter cylinder in there. So if you're trying to haul that, the other way to haul it is like it is right now. Extend it all the way, tie it back down, front, forward. Either way. Two ways to haul it. All the way out or all the way in, mean frame lock in. Okay? Questions on that? Now, capacity charts are also something you guys are, you got cranes and everything. You've seen every damn capacity chart you've ever can imagine what they look like. This one basically, on the left side, is load center. You go down, you find your load center on the left side of the chart. On the top is where your frame should be extended to handle a certain weight. So you find 40,000 pounds at 36-inch load center. The load centers are down this left side. You find there, you can see how far your frame needs to be in order to handle that weight. It's not too difficult, but you might have to study it just a little bit. But it's the way to handle loads on this machine. They're solid tires, they're hard as rock. They don't give you any warning that you're light on the back end. There's no squat. That's full. That's as much weight as ever going to be on that tire right there. And you can see how little it's squatting. It doesn't give you any warning. So that thing gets light. You think you're going to feel it with your butt. You're probably not. You go and tilt. You're close. You go tilt it forward and load it forward a little bit. Next thing you know, the back end's going to come up. So use the chart, know what you're picking up, know your load center, and use it like you would a crane. I mean, it's a crane, okay? So put that boom on it. Counterweight slabs